On the occasion of 75th anniversary of independence, the country is observing the Amrit Mahotsav of Independence. The Har Ghar Tiranga Abhiyan is part of this festival. Sansad TV appeals to you to join the celebration of independence by unfurling the tricolour in your house as well.
घर घर तिरंगा, हर घर तिरंगा, घर घर तिरंगा, हर घर तिरंगा। घर घर तिरंगा, रथ घर तिरंगा, घरों घरी तिरंगा, प्रत्येक घरी तिरंगा।
Namaskar, good evening viewers. You're watching Sansad TV's live broadcast at 9 p.m. This is The News with me, Bhawna Nayar. Over the next 30 minutes, we bring you a roundup of all national and international news that you need to know. First up, the top 5 headlines we are tracking this hour. Monsoon session of Parliament ends. Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha adjourned sine die 4 days ahead of schedule. Lok Sabha passes Energy Conservation Amendment Bill to promote non-fossil fuels. Rajya Sabha approves Central University's Amendment Bill. Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu given farewell by members in Rajya Sabha. All party MPs, including Prime Minister Modi, praise his tenure. M. Venkaiah Naidu expresses gratitude to all members and the government. Maharashtra Cabinet to be expanded tomorrow after 1.5 months. New ministers to be administered oath at Raj Bhavan in Mumbai. And India continues to shine at Birmingham Commonwealth Games. PV Sindhu and Lakshya win gold medals in badminton on the last day. Take country to 4th place with 61 medals, including 22 gold. And after the main headlines, let's now take a look at some more important stories of the day. E-Shram portal's capacity of daily registration increased from 15 lakh to 80 lakh per day, says Union Minister Bhupendra Yadav. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. JAISHANKAR congratulates ASEAN member states on 55th anniversary. NIA carries out searches in Jammu and Doda districts against members of banned Jamaat-e-Islami in terror funding case. Special Mumbai court remands Shiv Sena MP Sanjay Raut to 14-day judicial custody in case linked to alleged irregularities in redevelopment of Mumbai's Chawl. Minister of Textiles Piyush Goyal emphasizes need to connect weavers and artisans with more domestic and international clientele. Final scores declared for JEE 2022 for paper 1. 24 candidates score 100 percentile. Delhi reports 2,423 COVID cases, positivity rate high since January. CBI filed 100 cases on Ponzi schemes, including 132 firms. Since 2019, 21 arrested in these cases, says government. Capital of China's Hainan province locked down residents for 13 hours after COVID-19 outbreak. China's military continues large-scale military drills around Taiwan after first announcing the end of its live-fire exercises on Sunday. And now, the big story of the day. The monsoon session of the Parliament concluded today with both houses being adjourned sine die, 4 days ahead of schedule. Adjourning the Lok Sabha sine die, Speaker Om Birla said the House met for 16 days and passed 7 legislations. The House worked for over 44 hours during the monsoon session. The House recorded 48% productivity due to disruptions.
इस सत्र में कुल 16 बैठकें हुई, जिनकी कुल अवधि 44 घंटे 29 मिनट रही। इस सत्र के दौरान सभा द्वारा महत्वपूर्ण विधायी एवं अन्य कार्य किए गए। इस सत्र के दौरान 6 सरकारी विधेयक पुनर्स्थापित किए गए तथा कुल मिलाकर 7 विधेयक पारित किए गए।
Outgoing Rajya Sabha Chairman Venkaiah Naidu lamented that over 47 hours were lost due to disruptions in the upper house. 16 sittings were held, during which it conducted business for more than 38 hours. The Rajya Sabha passed 5 bills in the monsoon session.
The House discussed the issues of raising of essential items in the form of a short duration discussion which lasted for more than 4 hours, in which 33 members participated in the debate. Only 5 government bills were considered and passed during the session. 27 private members' bill was also introduced, and only 1 private member bill regarding right to health could be partly discussed during the entire session.
The Rajya Sabha on Monday accorded farewell to Vice President and Rajya Sabha Chairman Venkaiah Naidu. In an emotional farewell speech, outgoing Chairman Venkaiah Naidu said the members of Rajya Sabha must maintain decency, dignity and decorum so that the image and respect of the House are maintained. He also urged the members to ensure democratic principles are followed.
We, being the upper house, House of Elders, we have a greater responsibility. The entire world is watching India now. India is on the race. India is on the move. Keeping that in mind, we members of Rajya Sabha and you members of Rajya Sabha, and in future we are all going to come to this house, I only appeal to them to maintain decency, dignity.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that Rajya Sabha gained newer heights under his leadership. He hailed Naidu's wit and one-liners as he praised his 5-year term as Vice President and Rajya Sabha Chairman. He said the productivity of the House increased by 70% during his term.
आपके कार्यकाल के वर्षों में राज्यसभा की प्रोडक्टिविटी 70% बढ़ी है। सदन में सदस्यों की उपस्थिति बढ़ी है। इस दौरान करीब 177 बिल पास हुए या उन पर चर्चा हुई, जो अपने आप में कीर्तिमान है।
Cutting across party lines, Rajya Sabha members praised the contribution made by outgoing Chairman Venkaiah Naidu.
कुछ चीजें जो बगैर आपके कहे व्यक्तित्व से जो आपका सीखा, वो मैं उल्लेख करना चाहूंगा। आपके आचरण से, कार्यशैली से, समय की पाबंदी, और जो गांधीयन लिगेसी थी, जो गांधी जी कहा करते थे कि इनडिसिप्लिन इज वायलेंस, उस तरह आपने किस तरह स्वानुशासन को जीवन में उतारा, देश के प्रति आपका लगाव, मिट्टी के प्रति लगाव, यह हमने जाना।
कोई भी विषय हो, बीच में कभी किसी की स्पीच भी चल रही हो तो माननीय वेंकैया जी कुछ ना कुछ सुझाव देंगे, क्या कैसे बोलना चाहिए, क्या शब्द इस्तेमाल करना ठीक है नहीं है। एक कंटिन्यूअस टीचर का जो इनका स्वभाव है, लोगों को ट्रेन करने का जो स्वभाव है, इसका मैं समझता हूँ हम सभी को अलग अलग समय पर लाभ मिला, और ये लाभ जिंदगी भर हम सब माननीय सांसदों के साथ रहेगा।
आपने अपने स्तर पर प्रयास किया, कई तरह के बदलाव की कोशिश के लिए आप सक्रिय रहे, और आपने इस बात की पैरवी भी की कि सभी प्रमुख राज्यों में अपर हाउस बनाने के लिए एक राष्ट्रीय नीति बने।
Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla met with Vice President and Rajya Sabha Chairman Venkaiah Naidu at his residence. Chairman Naidu demits office on Wednesday, and his successor Jagdeep Dhankar will take the oath of office on August 11th. Moving on, the Rajya Sabha passed the Central Universities Amendment Bill on Monday. The bill seeks to convert the National Rail and Transportation University, a deemed to be university, into Gati Shakti Vishwavidyalaya, an autonomous central institution. The bill also seeks to expand the scope of the university from beyond the railways to cover the entire transport sector. The bill has already been passed by the Lok Sabha.
University
इस यूनिवर्सिटी में फंडिंग, जैसा मैंने आरंभ में कहा, ऑलरेडी मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ रेलवेज ने 166 करोड़ इसके लिए बजट में प्रावधान किया है, प्लस जो बिल्डिंग बन रही है इसकी नई, इसकी जो बिल्डिंग बनेगी उस बिल्डिंग के लिए अलग से एक और बजट बन रहा है। तो दिस इज गोइंग टू बी पब्लिक फंडिंग, पब्लिकली फंडेड यूनिवर्सिटी, इसमें कोई इसमें डाउट नहीं है। जो भी
And talking about the business in the lower house, Lok Sabha passed the Energy Conservation Amendment Bill 2022 on Monday. The bill seeks to mandate the use of non-fossil energy sources such as biomass, ethanol and green hydrogen. It also provides for penalties for violations by industrial units or vessels and manufacturers. Piloting the bill, Power Minister R.K. Singh called it the bill for the future.
All the implementation is done by the states, by the designated agency of the states. Now, this bill also provides for providing finances and resources to the designated agencies of the state. That's what this bill does. So, these are by and large, it has been welcomed by everybody. This is a bill for the future.
Lok Sabha also passed a bill to rename the new Delhi International Arbitration Centre as the India International Arbitration Centre.
कि भारत एक उभरता हुआ देश है, इकोनॉमिक आर्थिक ताकत है और इंडिया की और लोग देख रहा है और आने वाला दिन में इंडिया ही एक मेजर आर्बिट्रेशन का हब बनेगा, ये कॉन्फिडेंस इन्होंने जताया है। जब लोग भारत की ओर देख रहे हैं तो हम प्रोएक्टिव होकर के जो कदम उठाना चाहिए भारत सरकार और इस संसद के माध्यम से हमको उठाना चाहिए।
And another important story that's making the headline is Maharashtra Chief Minister Eknath Shinde will expand his cabinet on Tuesday. Maharashtra Governor Bhagat Singh Koshari will administer the oath to new members of the cabinet at Raj Bhavan in Mumbai. Shinde was sworn in as the CM on June 30th along with Devendra Fadnavis, who took the oath as Deputy CM. They have been functioning as a two-member cabinet since then. 3 people were killed and several injured in a stampede during a monthly fair at the Khatu Shyamji temple in Sikar this morning. 2 of the injured were referred to Jaipur Hospital. The state government and the temple committee announced ₹5 lakh each as assistance amount to the relatives of the deceased. 2 villages in Chamba district of Himachal Pradesh witnessed cloudburst that killed a 15-year-old boy. According to the Chamba District Emergency Operations Center, Bhadoga and Khandwa villages experienced heavy rain last night. A PWD bridge was damaged in Khandwa. 5 houses in nearby village were evacuated and people were shifted to safer places due to the flooding. And now let's move on to more stories that are making news in the nation. External Affairs Minister S. JAISHANKAR held talks with Foreign Minister of Ukraine on Monday. The discussion featured the recent developments in the conflict with Russia and its global repercussions. JAISHANKAR assured that the next consignment of Indian humanitarian aid will reach Ukraine very soon. Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla inaugurated an exhibition on the theme The Horrors of Partition in the Parliament Complex. Parliamentary Affairs Minister Prahlad Joshi and other dignitaries were among the attendees at the event. A Delhi court sentenced former Coal Secretary H.C. Gupta to 3 years and former Joint Secretary K.S. Krofa to 2 years in jail for alleged irregularities in the allocation of coal mines in Maharashtra. India has reported its first 2 cases of A2 form of monkeypox. According to the National Institute of Virology, the current outbreak is mainly the B1 variant of the monkeypox virus. A court in Delhi has sent an alleged active member of ISIS, Mohsin Ahmed, to NIA remand till August 16th. And now news from the world of business and economy. The government denied reports of the 8th Pay Commission being constituted for central government employees. It said the DA rates of the employees are revised periodically in line with rising inflation. The 7th Pay Commission was set up in 2014. In a move to transform the energy sector, Reliance Industries Chairman Mukesh Ambani pledged investments worth ₹6 lakh crore over the next 1 year to boost the green energy sector. Reliance is building gigafactories for solar power generation, production of green hydrogen, as well as its supply chain networks. Billionaire entrepreneur Elon Musk said if Twitter could provide detailed information relating to its accounts that backed its claims of transparency in its operations, his $44 billion deal to buy Twitter could proceed on the original terms. And now talking about Sensex, markets across the nation opened with strong sentiments as the BSE Sensex jumped 465 points while NSE Nifty gained 127 points as capital goods sector jumped by 2%. In contrast, SBI dropped 1.95% while oil and energy stocks also remained weak. And now global markets. US and European markets performed well on a day that saw most global indices gaining between 1 to 2%. Hong Kong and Taiwan indices, however, lagged behind with losses of up to 1%. Slipping into a very short break here on the other side. Ceasefire deal was reached after nearly 3 days of fighting between Israel and Palestinian militants in Gaza. All this and much more just after this short break. You stay tuned to Sansad TV for more news. Welcome back after the break. You're watching the news and time now for all the big developments from the Russia-Ukraine war front. The United Nations has called for international inspectors to be given access to the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power station after it was hit by shelling at the weekend. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said that any attack on a nuclear plant is a suicidal thing. The Kremlin said on Monday that Western countries with influence over Ukraine should push Kyiv to stop shelling the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. Both Russia and Ukraine have blamed each other for recent strikes on the nuclear power plant, which sits in territory controlled by Russian forces. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has said that if Russia proceeded with referendums in occupied areas, there could be no talks. He asserted that Kyiv was holding fast to its position of yielding no territory to Russia. Russian forces now hold large swaths of territory in eastern Ukraine's Donbas region and in southern areas. Officials in both areas have raised the possibility of holding the referendums. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky met with American actress Jessica Chastain in Kyiv on Sunday. During the meeting, Chastain described Ukrainians as incredibly brave and very strong. Zelensky said that such visits are extremely valuable as through them, the world will get to know the truth about what is happening in Ukraine. Time now for some other global updates. A fragile ceasefire deal was reached after nearly 3 days of fighting between Israel and Palestinian militants in Gaza. The flare-up was the worst fighting between Israel and Gaza militant groups since Israel and Gaza's Hamas rulers fought an 11-day war last year.
Explosions were seen in Gaza late on Sunday, along with rocket fire from the region ahead of a ceasefire between Israel and Palestinian militants that was agreed upon in a bid to end nearly 3 days of violence that killed dozens of Palestinians. The Egyptian brokered ceasefire took effect at 11:30 p.m. local time. Israeli strikes and militant rockets continued in the minutes leading up to the beginning of the truce, and Israel said it would respond strongly if the ceasefire was violated. The flare-up was the worst fighting between Israel and Gaza militant groups since Israel and Hamas fought an 11-day war last year and adds to the destruction and misery that have plagued blockaded Gaza for years. Israeli aircraft have bombarded targets in Gaza since Friday, while the Iran-backed Palestinian Jihad militant group has fired hundreds of rockets at Israel in response. The risk of the cross-border fighting turning into a full-fledged war remained as long as no truce was reached. Israel says some of the dead were killed by misfired rockets. Gaza's ruling Hamas group remained on the sidelines, possibly because it fears Israeli reprisals and undoing economic understandings with Israel, including Israeli work permits for thousands of Gaza residents that bolster its control. Israel launched its operation with a strike on Friday on a leader of the Islamic Jihad and followed up on Saturday with another targeted strike on a second prominent leader. Bureau Report, Sansad TV.
Moving on, China on Monday continued its unprecedented military drills around Taiwan. It extended the schedule of its war games after first announcing that they will conclude on Sunday. The drills were launched in retaliation to the visit by US House Speaker Nancy Pelosi to the breakaway island that Beijing claimed is part of its territory. Here's a report.
The People's Liberation Army Eastern Theater Command that oversees Taiwan said it will continue drills near the island, focusing on anti-submarine and air-to-ship strikes. The PLA conducted joint drills involving all wings of its armed forces in 6 areas around the island from August 4 to August 7th. The PLA's latest announcement notice did not specify the location of the exercises, nor did it mention when they would end. On Sunday, the PLA continued realistic combat scenario joint exercises in the sea and airspace around the island of Taiwan. A naval aviation brigade also conducted live-fire air-to-air missile drills. Video footage showed dozens of military aircraft of various types participating in the overnight training. The drills tested the weapons and military equipment performance as well as the training level of the troops. Chinese forces practiced island capturing drills and bomber deterrence flights in Taiwan Strait, a rehearsal for real operation. The aircraft deployed multiple types of warplanes, including early warning aircraft, bombers, jamming aircraft, fighter bombers and fighter jets. Chinese experts, however, say that tensions triggered by Pelosi's Taiwan visit will continue to mount, but military conflict over the issue is unlikely. The PLA has also announced month-long drills in the Yellow Sea facing South Korea, where the US troops are stationed. Bureau Report, Sansad TV.
In our Global Wrap section, Gustavo Petro took oath as Colombia's new president. The first left-hand president in Colombia, Petro, criticized the violent war on drugs and addressed climate change. He also promised to fight inequality and bring peace to a country haunted by feuds between the government, drug traffickers and rebel groups. Petro was a former member of Colombia's M19 guerrilla group and won the presidential election in June. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres reiterated his warning against nuclear weapons 2 days after he attended an event marking the 77th anniversary of the Hiroshima bombing. He warned that this is the moment when the risk of a nuclear confrontation is back. Guterres urged the nuclear-armed countries to commit to no first use of nuclear weapons. US Senate passed a $430 billion bill intended to fight climate change, lower drug prices and raise some corporate taxes. The bill was passed after the Senate sat for a 2-day weekend session debating the bill. It approved the legislation known as the Inflation Reduction Act by 51-50 party line vote, with Vice President Kamala Harris casting the tie-breaking ballot. On a tour to Bangladesh, Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi met Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina and Foreign Minister A.K. Abdul Momen. During his visit, Bangladesh sought cooperation from China to repatriate Rohingya refugees to Myanmar. Wang Yi promised better trade ties, investment and support for infrastructure development in Bangladesh. Cuba's struggle to contain a fire at a fuel depot on the northern coast led the authorities to call in Mexican and Venezuelan specialists to tame the blaze. The blaze started after a lightning strike on the fuel shortage tanks on Friday. The fire has killed at least one person and injured 122 others. The massive fire has also affected the electricity supply of the country. And after all the global news, time now for all the sporting action. Shuttler PV Sindhu won her first Commonwealth Games singles gold medal, beating Canada's Michelle Lee in the final. Sindhu won in straight games 21-15, 21-13. And another big history today, Lakshya won the second gold in badminton today. In the men's singles final, Lakshya came back from a game down to beat Malaysia's Zi Yong 19-21, 21-9, 21-16. Satvik Sairaj Ranki Reddy and Chirag Shetty beat England pair of Ben Lane and Sian Wendy 21-15, 21-13 to win the third gold medal in badminton for India on the day. In table tennis now, men's single gold medal match, Achanta Sharath Kamal defeated England's Liam Pitchford 11-13, 11-7, 11-2, 11-6, 11-7 to win the gold medal. Satyan Ganana Sekaran won the bronze in table tennis men's singles. Satyan beat England's Paul Drinkhole 4-3 in the bronze medal match. Australians men's hockey team poured cold water on the possibility for India winning 5 gold medals on the last day of the Commonwealth Games. India lost 0-7 in the final and had to be satisfied with the silver medal. Star paddler Sharath Kamal and world champion boxer Nikhat Zareen have named India's flag bearers during the closing ceremony of the Commonwealth Games. Indian boxers won 3 gold medals at the CWG on Sunday. Neetu and Nikhat Zareen in the women's section and Amit Panghal in men's section punched their way to dominating wins in their respective finals. In athletics now, Eldhoz Paul and Abdullah Abu Bakr made history in the men's triple jump, plotting an Indian 1 to finish. Eldhoz jumped 17.03 meter to clinch gold. Abu Bakr came close with a 17.02 meter jump to win silver. And Sharath Kamal's Rajya Akula pair won gold medal in mixed doubles table tennis. Beat Malaysian pair over 4 games in the final. And that's a wrap of today's Bulletin The News. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more programs on Sansad TV. Till then, goodbye. Namaskar.